What might have been a week for you is only about 10 seconds for me. I'm back here. It's Novaria with the original Borderlands Game of the Year edition for PlayStation 4. Now, last time we tackled the bunch of side quests as well as aimed to beat Mo and Marley. Unfortunately, Mo and Marley did not go as planned. Not that I fell, but I am dealing with a lack of ammo at this moment in time, which is why the Kool-Aid. Um, Mo has been defeated. Marley, on the other hand, has not. So, tackling Marley is going to be the first major hurdle of this particular video. Once Marley is defeated, we're going to tackle the we're going to take down Sledge's safe house, most likely. Because a lot of the side quests that I currently have available are just not feasible at level 13. If I'm being honest, I don't really think Mo and Marley is the best thing for me to tackle right now either. But I digress. Here we are. So, I don't foresee there being much of an issue. I say upon finding an entire small army of skags waiting for me. The new upgraded weapon that I got fires roughly the same speed as the prior one, except does almost double the damage per shot. So DPS has increased once again. Oh, yay. Always low battery. All right. And there we go. One group tackles at a time. Got 30 bullets right now, which honestly isn't too bad. I've seen much worse situations, especially at this point in the game. Though it would help if I was actually able to land a shot, which seems to be a running theme for me. Bye. Let's tackle them because honestly, there's nothing stopping me. And also, every little bit counts. And right now, every little bit counts is a very important mentality to have. So, at level 14 now, healing has become a more consistent thing for me. And given that healing is more consistent, so too has my combat effectiveness. I wouldn't necessarily say it's perfect, but assuming I can hit the broadside of a barn, I'm not falling every other second, and I'm not requiring multiple runs through given areas. That was wonky. In order to defeat simple enemies. So that's nice. Hey, there we go. He was just a little feverish. I helped him. You know, this is the first time I've actually thought to come up here. Not that it really did anything thanks to the invisible wall, but, you know, getting up there had potential for some loot. For those that might not have seen last video, at this point in time, I am dealing with a little bit of a crisis in ammunition, as has been fairly evident based on the fact that I can't hit anything. But there is a solution that is somewhat available at this point in the game. That is to find a revolver. Now, the revolver is my secondary weapon that I specified in the opening of the challenge. Revolvers would do would be better in a lot of circumstances than my sniper rifle is, but they come with some goods and bads, as does anything. It's a single shot weaponry with high damage per shot, but doesn't necessarily do 100% of what I'm aiming for at any given time. But by getting a new weapon, I'll effectively be able to increase combat effectiveness exponentially because revolvers are also very keen when it comes to elemental effects as well. Okay. Once again, how am I missing everything? Okay. The good news is that once Marley is defeated, I should be able to handle the last air or the next area reasonably well and potentially even get a second upgrade for my shields or for my Bloodwing attacks. So overall, I think it's going to be a positive direction from here. Though these guys are somewhat relentless. Like, that wasn't small potatoes. That was a lot of skags. Oh well. They'll be back next time I'm in the area. And Bloodwing is now so powerful that it is able to tank attacks from enemy or take down enemies that even my sniper rifle can't get on a single strike. While it's not going to last forever, the fact that it is a thing at all is pretty impressive at this point in the game. Um, Now the goal, or now the real question is, what is the next area going to look like if I don't end up finding the weapon that I'm aiming for? Okay, there we go. Oh, joy. We have a big one. It does not look like he will like me when I get over there. Seems very irritable. I can handle that. That's a decent amount of experience. Okay, buddy. But shoot. And with that, Marley has joined the battle. Marley is easier to get crits on, but when Mo is also involved in the fight, which is part of the reason why I like to separate the pair of them, Mo tanks so much damage and is so forward comparatively that it's hard to get a bead on Marley, so to speak. And even if it is possible and easier to get a crit on Marley, it is not like it's easy. Perfect. Come on. There we go. Running out of ammo again. And while I can do it, I don't really want to beat Marley with using only Bloodwing, as that is insanity. There we go. Excuse me, get back here. All right. There we go. And potentially 1 to 2 more hits, and Marley is down. I've never actually beat Marley with fisticuffs, which would be pretty interesting. Typically, it comes down to um, a last minute crit. No, no, no.
Well, we're here. Don't worry about saying goodbye. I'm sure we'll be doing this all again soon enough. Ah, get off my bus.
Well, I just died again. So, we're going to take this as slow and easy as possible. How is it that I can take this any slower than I currently have? No stone will be unturned, no crate unopened. Every single piece of weaponry that I have the possibility of using shall in fact be given its due. Because, truth be told, this is getting ridiculous. It was ridiculous before I started, but it's, even more so now. Mind your head, Claptrap. So, the opening of Borderlands. Once again, we know the drill. Some banditos, and a flailing Claptrap. So, here we are, again, on the road to success again. I know how this all works out. Throw all the stuff away. Ignore it. Don't touch it. Whatever. Hurry up, you silly machine.
Wow! That looks like it could do some damage. Okay, let's get this gate open.
Anywho,
These controls seem to be
knowing that
jamming.
the keypad isn't going to
I'm
work,
sure I can do it.
as we do,
This isn't working. Quick, this way.
it is go time. Time to stand up and do the thing. I promise that it will eventually happen. So this time I'm going to take a much different route, shall we say. My prior attempts have all been about trying to beat opponents in or through the use of whatchamacallit. Besting my opponents through the use of Bloodwing. Obviously that's not working. So this time I'm going to take a slightly different route when it comes to the build and go for Riotous Remedy first. Now Riotous Remedy in comparison to the initial to the Bloodwing skill tree will take more of an account or more into account as far as what a sniper is best at. So there is that to look forward to, I suppose. But I'd be lying if I said that this isn't getting mildly frustrating. And of course, we're going to be introduced to the one and only citizen of Firestone yet again.
Well, shoot, I thought I was a goner that time. Damn bandits won't leave us alone. Had to lock the place up tight. I'll let you in. Come on. Damn it. Blasted circuits are on the fritz again. Give it a go from the switch out there, would you?
Now that you've selected a mission, you will notice that a new icon has appeared on your heads-up display. That's a waypoint. The waypoint.
Get to see two of the Switch now, thanks to the sniper rifle itself, which I think is pretty decent. You know, thinking about it, Firestone is basically just a mining camp. So, Firestone itself, there's nothing super fantastic about it as far as what and where it is.
Please follow me, and I'll open the gate for you.
So, there's that. But we're interested in new content, new space. So why am I continuously going down this route? What makes this so much different than the alternatives? Because anyone can theoretically beat a Borderlands game without dying. But the route one takes will change depending on who you are and what you enjoy.
Don't worry. He'll get what's coming to him.
You did it. I knew you were the right choice. Oh, the poor little robot
So
needs our help.
this time, instead of focusing in on a series of missions, I intend to focus in on each mission one at a time.
That little robot is hurt. He isn't going to last very long with that adventure. Why don't you look around?
At least once I start actually getting side content again, because each side mission kind of has its own
Now is the time
mini
to get
history
moving.
to it,
Play your part in the
I
journey
think.
to come.
I hope. Something as simple as, oh yeah, we broke the switch to the gate, can you help me fix that? Is at least more in line with a world history than some of the other missions out there. But more to that as well,
That ought to do it. I'll see you in a few.
the amount of information that we're going to get is going to increase exponentially over time. Part of the reason I'm doing this in this way is that if I do it kind of like a clear route, then maybe I'll have the experience necessary to reach the end parts of the missions and the later sections without too much of an issue. I say somewhat hesitantly, knowing how things have gone so far. Because of Borderlands' general setup and how it is a RPG, but also a shooter, it was difficult to find a balance between difficulty and combat. Like, right now, I could walk up to TK Baja,
Come over here and chat.
but
Always nice for company out here.
there's nothing storyline happening around.
See you later, okay?
So he's just kind of a mindless NPC right now. But be that as it may, if I do this, maybe TK's food will be easier to collect down the line. Who knows? The possibilities are endless. There we go. TK's food has already been stolen and is hidden throughout the Badlands. Something I've never actually thought to check before. Huh. Just keep them coming. Come on, keep coming. I don't necessarily think this is the brightest idea I've ever had, but it's definitely one of the more silly ones. I don't want that. Oh well. Silly is just more fun, in my opinion. Well, that's a powerful stag. Are you? Nope, nope, nope. I bit off more than I can chew. So much more than I can chew. So, that's where the limit is at the moment. Got it. I'll meet you there.
What can I do for you?
All right. And we got ourselves a fixer-upper.
Good kid.
So we're just going to reset. I suppose the question is, why would I reset? Especially so early into the game. The fact of the matter is at this point that I've had rather bad luck for the entire duration of this challenge. So by taking a more indirect route, by allowing the world to repopulate, I'm going to be making sure that I get the appropriate experience necessary to survive and then some. Is this fair? No. No, it's not. But slow and steady wins this race. I've said it before, and my prior attempt was way too focused on speed And that's what got me in the end. So, no more speeding ahead and trying to be a bullet through these missions. It's one section at a time for the duration of this challenge. I'm actually going to finish this challenge. Guaranteeing that. Now, the reason why I want to reset is because technically there is a population or a population cap in each area. Typically 3 to 5 of any given item or enemy from a spawn point. If I'm only dealing with 3 to 5 enemies instead of, let's say, double that, then I can start to build myself up off of weaker enemies. The further I build myself up, the easier it's going to be to beat them in the long run. Now, I wouldn't count it among my brightest plans because it's not bright. It's not smart to be endlessly going around in circles. But if I have the opportunity to, let's say, invade a bandit camp before the bandits ever arrive, see what's in it, and decide, no, not for me, then while it might not be the same as a speed run, it is, in fact, going to be possible to beat the game without dying. That's the goal in and of itself. No death, no collecting ammunition from sources like vendors, no collecting weapons from vendors, no collecting shields from vendors, excluding this one. Ew, no, I don't like that. And done. Now that that is done,
If you're going to ever find the vault, you'll need the aid
I'm going to tackle the bandits out over in their camp. And every time I have a chance from here on out, or every time I have to go hand in quests at Firestone, I'm going to reset. Each reset is going to be exclusively for the purpose of just trying to get ahead on enemies, assuming that I can actually hit them. Because at this point, level 1s and level 2s are pointless to fight. Oh, well, not pointless, but they aren't really the brightest. It's not going to get me anywhere to fight these guys endlessly. But if I can get a couple KOs, do some extras, get a couple extra missions done, and spend enough time to boost myself up to do more damage and really get the character that I want to have, then it'll be worth it. Now, because I now have access to Bloodwing, and I am focusing more so on a slow and steady pace, each boss will likely be easier to take down on their own, shall we say. Each subsequent enemy type is also going to be easier to take down. And it might actually get to a point where I am untouchable, which would be kind of funny, but also kind of sad. I don't know what that's going to look like. What I do know is that I at least want to beat Sledge. Because doing this without really having the full scale of what it is I'm intending on doing, it would be nice to kind of get a little further this time. Alright. Also, I should mention that the only place I will be resetting at is at the beginning of each location or upon entering Firestone. The reason why is because Firestone itself is your general respawn point for this half of the world.
Well, that should cover it, kid.
Anywho, with that, I will meet you in the morning. Alright, and welcome back again. It's been a lot shorter time for you than it has been for me. But it's morning, it's daytime, but the moon of Elpis is shining ever so bright against the ever sunny landscape of Borderlands 1. And we're getting some bandits to start showing up now. So at this point, a certain subsection of enemies is going to start becoming more common. This isn't a bad thing. Actually, it is probably one of the better things to come across. Knowing that enemies are going to get more consistent and more powerful as time goes on is definitely a good thing. Now, the main problem with this area right now is that the enemies have officially gotten to a point where they're not really useful. Thus,
Hey, why don't you come over here and chat a while?
You? One more step and it'll be your last.
You should have seen the look on your face.
yeah, come on over and chat a while, proceeds to pull a gun on me.
Take care of myself. Get by just fine. All right?
What a shame, TK. I thought there was something special there. So, tackling this section one more time. We've done it 3 times already, so it shouldn't be an issue. Enemies are now so weak that they are giving single-digit EXP. And for this point in the game isn't terrible, but I should be effectively at 9 toes now. So this more slow and steady approach is already making quite a difference in the experience that I gain just through playing the game. And this is part of the issue with kind of how gaming has changed over the last few years. Kind of in the early 2010s, every game became some form of a RPG. If you look at the golden age of Bethesda Studios and their creations, almost all of them are RPGs in some fashion or another. There's something that they do in a means of character creation and building that makes your character completely unique to anyone else's. This isn't a bad thing. I actually quite like the idea of making each character their own, completely unique idea. What bothers me about this system is what's happening here. It doesn't take much to really take the challenge out of a game. Um, in this particular case,
Why don't you come over here and
I've
get a
attempted
ride?
numerous times. This is attempt number 17 or 20. At this point, I've lost count. And if I've lost count, then there's something off about this. There are some people who could do a challenge run like this without really breaking a sweat. I am not one of those people. It does take a lot of skill to do these kinds of challenges. Unfortunately, I don't have the necessary skill to do this as of yet. And I really don't want to be focusing on the same game and the same challenge for the next year, while I hone the skills and the luck necessary to actually make this happen. So, for now, I'm going to purchase the grenade because I need that for the main mission. And we're going to do a little bit of side running around, I think. Passing this quest back to TK only awards 48 experience. It's not much. But once again, the game is not expecting that I am almost level 6 at this point. It's expecting I'm level 3, maybe 4. So the game itself is going to constantly have this. It's designed with a certain enemy type, a certain amount of stuff that you have completed before each milestone. If you're like me and are consistent about trying to get all the side quests done, then you'll end up in a situation where there really isn't much to do in between each batch of missions. But be that as it may, we're going to do a little bit of runarounds because I see no point in trying to be super speedy and neglect what it is I'm actually aiming for at this point. I've tried, I've failed numerous times. So this is it. This is the final attempt. And the reason this is the final attempt is if I don't do it this way, then it is not going to be happening. It will be mission failed. Partially because I do not want to bore the viewers with the same section of the game any longer than absolutely necessary at this point. And we got ourselves our first new sniper. Was wondering when that was going to happen. With this, a lot of the enemies in this area are going to be trivialized, which isn't a bad thing. That's what killed me last time. Let's not and say we didn't. So, if you're interested in joining me on the journey of finally completing the game, that would be awesome. Ow. The rough part about this situation that I'm in right now is I still don't actually have a shield. Accuracy, crit damage, crit damage. Perfect. The revolver tree is pretty well useless for now. At least until after finding the first one. But getting things that will benefit all weapon types is not outside the realm of good choices at the moment. Hmm. So the average skag is giving 3 EXP now. I'm surprised it's still doing that much. But we're going to clear out Skag Gully to the best of my abilities here. Little slip and slide for the Skags. And just like that, we have our first elemental weapon showing up. Elemental weapons are going to be kind of a 50-50 hit and miss item that I'd like to keep on hand. Various weapons have benefits to them, but elemental weapon benefits are a lot more straightforward than some of the purple and gold rarity weapons. Simply put, an elemental weapon has one of 4 elements. Either it has explosive damage, which basically just does standard damage, but it's a area of effect. It's good against anything. There is flame damage, which is exactly what it is. It lights a target on fire and deals decent damage over time. There is corrosive damage, like what the spitter skags tend to do, which deals high damage over time against armored opponents, most notably. And there is shock damage, which deals high damage to shields, but not much else. Anywho. With this, I think it's about time to tackle Nine Toes, because if I don't, I'm going to be at this all night. And I can hopefully finish this off at a slightly later time. Anywho. Because of circumstances of being extremely low health, I kind of wish I went with the build that heals when Bloodwing does damage.
real challenge.
but I didn't, and I will not change that. So let's just hope that this goes well. So far, so good. This was probably one of Dahl's earliest mines to try to see if they could find the vault. Because, like, almost bottomless pit. It would make sense that if you were going to look for some ancient technology, that if you found a massive cave, you'd start digging. So I think that's what's going on there, although I'll admit I don't know a whole lot of the history of the various locations. A lot of the history of the characters and the locations all kind of come down to a few minor notes relating to how the characters, like the main characters, function, how they got their abilities, and why they choose to do what they do. But that isn't necessarily the most clear or concise way of going about it. Yes, I just went in to fight for my life on purpose because I figure that if I go in to fight for my life against an enemy I know I can defeat in one more hit, then I will be able to handle taking down a opponent easy or a little bit later down the line. And it paid off with the Jacobs Long Thunder. And another Jacobs sniper. Wow. Okay. Jacobs, for those that don't know, is all about one shot. If it takes more than one shot, you weren't using a Jacobs. They are high damage weapons, but they have no elemental effect chances, ever. This both makes them the most. This kind of makes them the most unique variety of weapon within the game, as other manufacturers like Maliwan focus almost exclusively on elemental effects, whereas all others have kind of a hit or miss mentality. They either do or they don't, and there is no in between. With Jacobs, they just simply do not. Most have a X chance of having an elemental effect. Awesome. And with all of that said and done, it is time for me to wrap her up for tonight. So, if you like the video, if you think that this is the one, if this is the chance, the final run, drop a like, leave a comment, or simply show up for the next round, for the next video. Until then, I hope you have a good one.